These are the directions on how to get to the History Museum from Parkway West High School. First, you take a left turn onto Clayton Road, continue up until the intersection near the Target. You take a left onto South Woods Mill Road at the intersection. You continue there until you reach the end, and you take a right-hand turn onto South Outer 40 Road. Then you merge onto Highway 40. You continue on the highway till you reach exit 34B onto Hampton Avenue. You take a left turn onto Hampton Avenue into the park. You take a right, the first right from the traffic circle onto Wells Drive. You then go around the second traffic circle, exit onto McKinley Drive. You continue up until you reach Theater Drive and you take a left-hand turn. You continue there until you get to Cricket Drive. You take a left hand, and then you turn left onto Grand Drive, and then you continue until you reach De Bellevere Circle, which is the circle that surrounds the History Museum. The Missouri History Museum was originally built beginning in 1911 and with construction finishing in 1913. The museum was constructed mostly using money and proceedings from the 1904 World's Fair and was built where the entrance to the World's Fair originally was. The original purpose of the museum was as the Thomas Jefferson Memorial. It was an open air stone pavilion with a large statue built in honor of Thomas Jefferson. The statue and memorial was the first national statue and memorial in honor of Jefferson, coming 30 years before the memorial built in Washington, D.C. in 1943. The Missouri Historical Society took ownership of the memorial and turned the memorial into the St. Louis History Museum. The museum served to provide exhibits illustrating the history of many topics around the Missouri and Midwest. In 2000, the museum received an upgrade with a new state of the art building which was attached to the memorial. The Emerson Center, which was the name given to the add on, was built in order to be able to house four more exhibits and was also able to provide areas for classes, lectures, and theatrical performances. Today, the museum can host up to 5 different exhibitions at once and also has a child's play area for to entertain your children while you look at the different exhibits. The main architect for the original Jefferson Memorial was Isaac Taylor, who had been the lead architect for the 1904 World's Fair and had created the original layout of the fair. The Jefferson Memorial architectural style was in that of Beaux Arts, a form of architecture primarily used in French buildings. This style of architecture often is characterized by symmetry, the use of large pillars, and balustrades, all of which are extremely evident when looking at the memorial. It has an exterior made completely of limestone, and the memorial consists of two large wings jutting out from a central pavilion. The wings of the building contained all the collections and artifacts of the Historical Society, but today the ground floor of each wing is used for exhibits or the child's play area, while the upper floors have offices and collections that are not open to the public. The central pavilion is a large two-story room that was previously open air but was closed off in 1985 in order to protect the large statue from the elements. The roof above the statue is covered in intricate patterns created by the use of terracotta tiles. The statue was created by Karl Bitter, an Austrian-American sculptor who also led the sculpture programs in the 1904 World's Fair. Standing at 9 feet tall, the statue sits on a polished granite base and overlooks the world outside of the entrance. The unveiling of the statue was such a large event that many schools and businesses were off that day in order for people to watch as David Francis, the president of the Louisiana Purchase Exposition Company, handed over the keys to the mayor of St. Louis, Henry Keel. For my interview about the History Museum, I did a Zoom meeting with the museum's community tours manager, Amanda Clark. Unfortunately, the recording software I used did not record her microphone, so I'll be reiterating the answers she gave me. So, what my first question is what was the original purpose of the museum before it was actually given over to the Missouri Historical Society? The original purpose of the building that the Missouri History Museum is now in, it was originally the Thomas Jefferson Memorial, and it was open air. So, and the Emerson Center had not yet been added. When was the original building constructed? The Thomas Jefferson Memorial, it began construction in 1911, and then it was completed 2 years later in 1913 and was opened on April 30th of that year. What is the architectural style of the original building? So the architectural style of the original Thomas Jefferson Memorial is Beaux Arts, which is spelled Beaux, and in French it means beautiful. And the building definitely has many prominent features that are featured in Beaux Arts architecture, such as the large columns and also the very symmetrical looking buildings. What are some of the more famous exhibits that have gone through the museum over the years? Some of the most famous exhibits that we've had here are the Lewis and Clark expedition exhibits. A lot of artifacts owned by Lewis and Clark, and also since Clark lived in uh, lived in St. Louis after the expedition. Another one that came a little bit later was the U.S. Route 66 exhibition, just because of how just Route 66 is sort of known throughout the country, so it was a major one that people came to visit. Another really famous one is the Pulitzer Prize winning photographs, uh, such as like the American soldiers during World War II raising the flag at Iwo Jima. And then the most recent one that we don't still have up right now that we've had a lot of visitors is History Made, which is basically the story of the Blues winning the Stanley Cup in 2019, since they are based here. And then the one that's pretty popular right now that we have currently in the museum is St. Louis Sound, just about different artists and stuff like that, musical artists in St. Louis. What was the purpose of the new Emerson Center add-on? The Emerson Center was built onto the museum in order to not only be able to house more exhibits in the museum, but it was also made so that it could there were classrooms added, and there were also there was an amphitheater added so that there could be better learning experiences and more hands-on classes within the history museum. What year was the Emerson Center constructed? The Emerson Center was finished construction in 2000, was opened to the public in 2000. Next question is how many visitors come through the museum each year? The museum gets on average about 400,000 visitors coming through each year.
What the dog doing?